By the way, we got to talk here. We got to talk Dodgers, Blue Jays. Holy shit. First of all, that was one of the greatest World Series I have ever seen. I think I'd have to go back to the Twins versus the fucking Braves, 1991. A buddy of mine was comparing it to that, Game 7. Just the entire series. First of all, shout out to the Blue Jays and the team that they have. That never say die team that they had. I got so much respect for that organization and all of the players on that team. It's absolutely heartbreaking that, that they ended up losing that thing. But everybody, myself included, I was like, hey, I think they'll give them a series. But I said I think they'll give them a series, but I still had the Dodgers winning in 5 or 6. I thought the Blue Jays would take 1 or 2. Because like you guys, I'm not going to put it on, like a lot of people, I was enamored with what Ohtani did. Why wouldn't you be in that Game 4, the closeout game in the NLCS? And then for the Dodgers, like, was it Yamamoto? Finally got his name out. The guy won 3 fucking games. I didn't look, but like he has to be the MVP of that series. And there was just so many people. Freddie Freeman is just fucking money. Obviously Ohtani. I know Mookie Betts was struggling, but like that guy's still a beast. Game 7 had that big hit. Also started the double play to win it. And Miguel Rojas hitting that fucking home run. Oh my God. When he hit that home run in the 9th inning, I was on the phone with a friend of mine. Her daughter was staying over our house, friends with my daughter. So she called to say goodnight. And I was going, and I was right in the middle. I'm like, wow, the Blue Jays are going to win this. And I was talking on the phone. I'm like, yep, they had dinner. Everything's cool. They're in the other room watching blah, blah. And then as I'm talking to her, telling her that everything's okay with her kid, Miguel hits the home run. And I just go, oh my God. She starts going, what? I go, oh, nothing. I go, watching the game. The Dodgers just tied it up in the top of the 9th. I was like, oh, my God. I just kept saying, oh, my God. That was the quietest, like how quiet that fucking stadium. I haven't heard Toronto that quiet since the last time the Maple Leafs were in the playoffs. That grassy knoll, they all stand out and they're all jumping up and down and they got the scarves and the flags and then they just start slowly walking away like Linus waiting for the great pumpkin. I don't know. I keep saying Dante. Bo Bichette hitting that fucking 3-run homer. And then the Dodgers coming back. And then they get another run. And then it was 4-3 fucking Blue Jays. I just lost. Oh my God. And then the fucking bases are loaded in the bottom of the 9th. They bring in that other guy at second base. They bring the infield in. Hits it to second base. The guy's running in to fucking win the World Series. And the guy can't get it out of his glove. And then he bobbles it. And then he guns it. Takes the fucking catcher off the plate for half a second, and he got like one spike of his cleat onto home plate before that kid slid in. I think Glavin brought up this point. I never even thought about this, saying home plate is the hardest plate to slide into because it's flush with the ground. I never thought of that. So you got to try to get your foot down without slowing down, creating too much friction. That's why the head first slide is probably the way to go. If you don't mind slamming into all of that catcher gear. I still don't understand why the catcher can't block the plate. You know what I mean? I don't understand that. I don't understand why there's 3 seconds on the defensive player in basketball. I have to walk away from the goal, which I'm covering. This doesn't make any sense. One of my New York Yankee friends, one of my friends who's a New York Yankee fan, had the classic New Yorker reaction to the World Series. He said, I'm glad the Dodgers won, because his team lost to the Blue Jays. And then he immediately starts saying what the Yankees are going to do next year. He goes, and fucking Judge maybe hits one off of Ohtani. That would be fucking amazing. That'd be fucking amazing. I go, dude, this is such a New Yorker response. Like, you're not in the conversation of winning a World Series. You were in a World Series 2 years ago. You made some moves this year, and you went backwards. What did you do this year? You beat the Red Sox in a wild card. Best 2 out of 3. We traded away Devers. The Red Sox are a bunch of kids with this side of 26. You couldn't get past the Blue Jays, who barely got past the fucking Mariners, who then played the Dodgers and took them to 7 games. He goes, dude, we're going to have the best pitching staff in the AL East. It's like, you obviously stopped watching baseball after you lost. Ridiculous statement. The fucking Blue Jays pitching staff was incredible. Forget about the Dodgers. They got a guy that can win 3 out of 4 games that you need to win. I don't know. But that is, I lived in New York long enough to realize It reminded me a lot about Boston, where Boston is this weird thing where it has these incredible fucking universities, two of the best universities in the world, MIT and Harvard. And it is also ground zero for some of the biggest meatheads you're ever going to meet in your life. So, like, it has this weird sort of duality where it's like it's this smart city because of all the people from elsewhere, for the most part, that go to those schools. And then you have the fucking guy like me going to Dunkin' Donuts and on his way to a Bruins game is the majority of the population. New York is the same thing, where like there's all of this amazing shit happens in New York, but most of it is done by people that move to New York. And everybody else is just a meathead eating a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, talking about the accomplishments of people who aren't even from New York, and then claiming it for their own. Sinatra, Steinbrenner, all of that shit. I'll even say comedians. The amount of fucking comedians that came down or came up from Philly, came down from Boston, came up from D.C., all right? I'm removing myself from this. I'm just saying the ones that I saw as a fan of stand-up comedy came there and just fucking crushed it. And then they were like, oh, my God, the New York comedy scene. It's like, yeah, it's a free agent comedy scene. Anyway, I just thought that was funny because I love where the Red Sox are, and I like our chances next year as far as I feel like making the wild card again. It depends on what we do in the offseason, but in no way do I sit there and look at the Red Sox realistically and be like, yeah, this time next year they're going to, they could beat the Dodgers. I did see this guy pregame before Game 7 goes, if the Dodgers win tonight, that would mean they won 3 World Series in 6 years and they would cement their dynasty. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, the training wheels that they're putting on a dynasty. Fortunately, I only heard one person say that. It's like, you're not a dynasty if you're losing. A dynasty is for 3 years in a row. The championship was in your city and there's nothing anybody could do about it. You own the league for at least 3 years. You can't, they won 2020, the pandemic year, no crowd, okay? You win that year. The next year, you lost. The next year, you lost. The next year, you lost. And then you won, and then you won. So we're going all the way back. So you're going to drag that title from 6 fucking seasons ago into the back-to-back and then say, like, you're like the 98, 99, 2000 Yankees or the 74, 73, 74, no, 72, 73, 74 Oakland A's. You're not. You're not. The 76, 77, 78, 79 Canadians, 80, 81, 82, 83 Islanders. Those are dynasties. Dude, the fucking Lakers in the 80s won 5 championships. They were not called a dynasty because they didn't win 3 in a row. Sorry. That's what it is. The Lakers 2000, 2001, 2002. That was a dynasty. The NBA title was in LA 3 years in a row, and there wasn't a fucking thing the other 29 teams could do about it. The Lakers didn't win and then lose, win. Fuck out of here with that. Anyway, I got to go on a sports show and fucking, they said that about the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they've been to 7 AFC championships in a row. I mean, that's a dynasty. A dynasty of what? So are the Buffalo Bills a dynasty? They went to 4 AFC championship games in a row. Oh, Jesus, I don't need to keep explaining it. Or do I?